We begin with something I have been saying forever. And I always had when I say it, I pray to God I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. It's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when Biden's unvetted so-called illegal immigrants, they call them migrants, commit an act of terror inside of our country. Sadly, this preventable tragedy, it played out last week when an Afghan refugee opened fire on U.S. National Guard soldiers on the streets of Washington, D.C. Now, U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, only 20 years old. That woman is 20 years old, murdered in cold blood. At the very hour, Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, who was critically injured, who is now fighting and clinging for his life as we speak. And we're going to update you on all of this in a moment. But first, we got to take a step back and remember, how did we get here? Take a look.
We are conducting thorough scrutiny, security screening for everyone who is not a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident. Anyone arriving in the United States will have undergone a background check. Number 3, once screened and cleared, we will welcome these Afghans who helped us in the war effort over the last 20 years to their new home in the United States of America.
It was never thorough. They weren't screened. They were never vetted, and they were never cleared. There was no way to truly vet these people in, quote, record time. Now, the pro-U.S. government in Afghanistan, as we all remember, was an embarrassment. It collapsed because of Joe Biden, his incompetence. The U.S. fled Kabul in one of the worst, most chaotic ways possible. We lost 13 American service members. Remember, they were killed by terrorists during this Biden-caused disaster. They piled people at random into military planes. They left many American citizens behind enemy lines while accidentally evacuating some Afghans, but among them, many extremists. And then, to top it all off, the Biden White House continued to import thousands upon thousands of more unvetted Afghan nationals on top of his wide-open borders. More than 5,000 of them, that's over 5,000, were flagged for national security issues, but they let them into our country anyway. Nearly 7,000 had links, to potential derogatory information, including nearly 1,000 who were flagged over public safety concerns. That means concerns about you. And as of today, there are 885 individuals with national security concerns. We don't know where they are. They're still at large inside the continental U.S. But according to Alejandro Mayorkas, the administration's chaotic, failure, disaster, dangerous plan to import unvetted Afghan nationals and lie about it was a great source of pride for them. Take a look.
Operation Allies Welcome, which we led in a coordinated effort across the government, is a great source of pride for us to bring to safety in the United States individuals who stood alongside our armed forces in Afghanistan.
Those who got on the C-17s and other planes, how many were vetted before they got on the plane by American officials?
To the United States, it is our policy to vet and screen 100% of them.
So 100% of those people that got on the plane were vetted. That's your testimony under oath?
It is our policy to do so.
Are you telling this committee under oath that 99% of the people who got on these planes in Afghanistan were vetted by our government before they got on that plane?
I want to be very clear because precision...
Because you're not.
No. Senator, if I may, you are asking me about planes from transit countries, the third countries...
I'm talking about people who got on the plane in Kabul airport.
States. No, I can't speak to that.
Were they vetted before they went on the plane? Not a complicated question. Mayorkas, frankly, was dodging and ducking and weaving and lying. And so was Circleback Jen Psaki. Remember, Biden's press secretary assuring all of America that all Afghan refugees coming into the United States were vetted and peace-loving patriots. Not really. Take a look.
I can absolutely assure you that no one is coming into the United States of America who has not been through a thorough screening and background check process. And there are many individuals, as you noted, who have not been through that process, and they have gone to lily pad countries as that process has been completed. It doesn't mean that that's because there's a flag. It means they have not completed their paperwork, and we were working to save tens of thousands of people. Hence, we evacuated them to these third countries.
Just like the millions and millions across the border of the roughly, 76,000 plus Afghan nationals that Biden officially welcomed into our country was just a small portion of the millions and millions. We have called attention to it over and over during the 4 years of Biden-Harris Mayorkas. Unvetted, illegal immigrants allowed into this country, 12, 20 million, gotaways. We have no idea how many people they allowed in. We do know they came from everywhere. We do know they came from over 200 countries. We do know many of the countries they came from had terror ties, and almost none of them vetted. And the big lie that they told over and over and over again, the borders closed, the borders secure, that was the mantra of the Biden-Harris Mayorkas, administration and their complicit allies in the media mob that never asked a question. They never dared raise the questions that needed to be asked. Now, in response, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem issued this statement, quote, "I am recommending for a full travel ban on every damn country that's been flooding our nation with killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. Our forefathers built this nation on blood, sweat, and the unyielding love of freedom, not for foreign invaders to slaughter our heroes, suck dry our hard-earned tax dollars, and snatch the benefits owed to Americans. We don't want them, not one." Unfortunately, Democrats are now vilifying the very people trying to clean up Biden's disaster. They compared National Guard soldiers on the streets of D.C. to stormtroopers, Nazis, Gestapo, brown shirts, Democratic Congresswoman, now Senator Elise Slotkin even suggesting that these service members were dangerous to the general public. Let me repeat that the National Guard soldiers are the danger to the general public. Oh, is this not whipping people into a frenzy? Is this not demonizing them? Is this not dehumanizing them? Is this not insightful rhetoric? You decide.
When you look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago, it makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians. It is a very, very stressful situation for these law enforcement and for the communities on the ground.
By every single metric, safety in Washington, D.C. vastly has improved with the assistance of these brave men and women, these National Guard soldiers. They are saving lives. Homicide rate down 60, 70% in some cases. And it's not just D.C. FBI Director Kash Patel says the homicide rate for 2025, when the numbers come out, will likely be the lowest in decades in this country. And this is thanks in large part, to policing, to our National Guard. But according to one Democratic strategist, more National Guard soldiers really just means more targets for violent criminals. Wow. Remember the big stink the media made, targeted districts of Sarah Palin? Unfortunately, this never-ending rhetoric from Democrats, the leftist media, it is putting all of these brave men and women, our national treasure, at risk. As one young man, Andy, tonight is fighting for his life in a hospital. Even Senator Mark Kelly suggesting this weekend that our servicemen and women could face criminal charges when Democrats take back power if they carry out unspecified illegal orders from President Trump. But of course, he and the other 5 that are trying to encourage such never identified one single illegal order, not one. Take a look.
It puts a lot of burden on the troops to make a decision in real time.
It puts a tremendous amount of burden on officers in the military, but that is their responsibility, and they can figure out, a reasonable person can tell something that is legal and something that is illegal. And I was saying weeks ago, my concern is with the service members, that we're gonna put these individuals in a really, really tough decision, in a tough place. and they may find out, down the road that they did something that is illegal. It is not fair to them.
And what are you doing? You're creating chaos in terms of the President of the United States undermining his authority as Commander-in-Chief without identifying a single incident in which that occurred. Democrats are now vilifying Americans for simply working their hardest to make the country and the world a safer place, including ICE agents who face attacks and threats and doxing and harassment every single solitary day. We chronicle it almost every night on this program. And you have Gavin Newsom. Oh, well, if he has his way, ICE agents can't put a mask on, but the people that protect him can. Oregon's Attorney General is even threatening to prosecute ICE agents, the governor out there, for doing their job. And make no mistake, this is important work. Just last week, another Afghan national arrested for making terroristic threats and bragging about building a bomb. This in Fort Worth, Texas. Thankfully, he was apprehended. But mark my words, many more violent criminals who don't love our country, who have not been vetted, are still lurking in the shadows. We have seen innocent Americans murdered. We've seen innocent Americans raped, innocent Americans victims of violent crime again and again. And the hatred and the vitriol, of reckless, dangerous, inciting rhetoric and dehumanization continues. It doesn't stop. Just like the same party, the party of love and the party of compassion, they couldn't stand for the family of Lake and Riley during President Trump's joint session speech, or the family of Jocelyn Nungary, a little 12-year-old girl, brutally raped and murdered by one of these unvetted illegal immigrants. Can't applaud their families that have been through so much. You don't have a heart, you don't have a soul, you don't have a conscience.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.